What's going on, guys? T-Rec87 here with MG Knights, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite game series of all times, and that is the Alice series. And I have a reason behind what I'm talking about today, so let's just go ahead and get started. Now, the main reason I'm talking about this game today is because American McGee is planning on creating a new Alice game. And it's going to be called Alice Asylum. It's going to be set, obviously, in the time where Alice herself was in the asylum. And for any of you that don't know, I guess as far as like the story of this game goes, who haven't played this game, basically the games cover and chronicle the adventure of Alice in Wonderland. But it's a much more darker and twisted version of Alice in Wonderland, and I'll get more to that in just a minute as far as like the other games and everything like that. But the newest one, for those of you that might have already played the older games, is likely going to go over the Kubler-Ross stages of grief model, and that's going to be like the shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, acceptance, and this is all because her family died in a house fire and she was the only one that lived, and it basically drove her insane because she blamed herself. And so each one of those stages of grief in this new game, from what I've read, is supposed to represent like a level in Wonderland. And so you'll go through like each stage of grief just like you'll go through each stage of Wonderland at the same time. And with that, I wanted to talk a little bit more first about one of my favorite game in the series, realistically, is Alice Madness Returns. It was the first game I played in the series, but it's actually the second game of the series. If you do ever go decide to check these games out and you see like the first one, it's really dated and old looking, like the art style didn't hold up real well, you wouldn't be missing a ton by just starting off with the second game. Honestly, you could just like go out, watch a YouTube video about the game in itself, get a gist of the story, move on to the second game, and you'd be okay there. It wouldn't be like a big deal. But in the second game, you start out as Alice, just in the very beginning. She's seeing a psychiatrist. She's still mad from the events of the first game and the house fire and all this stuff. And you're set in like this very gray, dreary London, just like covered in smog and just very filthy. And you talk to the psychiatrist, and he's trying to help you like forget these bad memories. And that's his way of trying to heal Alice. And what happens through the course of the very beginning is basically you get sent off to go get like your medication or whatever from somewhere else. But along the way, she ends up seeing like a cat, and she ends up following it and chasing it, and she gets basically sidetracked, and through a couple of events, I really don't want to give any of this game away for the most part for anybody that hasn't played it, because it's so worth playing. It is absolutely worth it. Basically, Alice starts hallucinating. And these hallucinations she has ends up causing her to have like a mental break, and she ends up slipping back into Wonderland. And Wonderland, I wouldn't call it like a safe space for Alice, but that's like where Alice retreats in her mind when something is going wrong. And it's basically the inner workings of Alice's mind. And when you're set down into Wonderland, you're set down into this like pristine, beautiful, vibrant forest. You run into the Cheshire Cat, and he knows you from the first game, and he's basically you find out like things are going wrong in Wonderland. The game starts off very slow. You recover your Vorpal blade, which is like a giant kitchen knife from the first game, as your weapon, and you start fighting off like these black ooze sludge doll things, and those are your main enemies. And there's a lot of different enemy types throughout the game. Like each level has like different enemy types. To sum up the story, I guess, would be that the ultimate goal of this game is for Alice to confront a main antagonist called the Dollmaker. And I'm not going to tell you like who the Dollmaker is or anything like that, or anything more about the story really, because there is a very interesting story there. It explores Alice's mental state, and it goes back, and you kind of end up finding out like who the Dollmaker is, and it also explores a little bit more the house fire that killed Alice's parents and her sister, and caused her to be in the mental state that she's in. Now, why I love this game so much is because throughout the game you uncover this crazy story about like what happened to her, and you uncover it through like not only through like the main story part, I guess, but through little collectibles here and there You'll pick up different things like little dollhouse collectibles. Then they're scattered throughout the maps, and all it really does is give you like a little audio blurb of of somebody talking about Alice, and you start to kind of like piece things together throughout the story. And you know, like, why I like this game so much is really just the story. The gameplay in itself isn't that great. I'll be honest. It's not amazing by any means. It can be really cumbersome, especially if you're playing on a PC. I personally think the PC is not the way to go. At least if nothing else, play it with a controller, because the controller's a lot better. But the camera can be like ignorant and obtrusive, and it can just like end up in the wrong spot and you can't see anything, causing you to like run off a ledge to your death. Or the targeting system's not that great, and trying to dodge enemies, the dodging mechanic's not that great either. I mean, it's mediocre gameplay at best. I mean, it's very passable. It can lead to frustrating moments where you keep dying for really no reason, not a lack of your own skill, but a lack of finesse in the game in itself. And so that can be a little bit frustrating. But playing this game through just to see the story is great. The levels are all very distinct and unique. You go through like all the beginning Wonderland level that gets like kind of transformed. You end up going to like the Mad Hatter level, which is very industrial, steampunk, mechanical looking. And the Mad Hatter himself, like I said, it's all a very dark take on the Alice in Wonderland series. It's not like the Johnny Depp Mad Hatter. He's like this goblin with like a robot suit, and it's really crazy. And you go through like an Oriental level and a lot of other really cool levels. And each level is actually really lengthy. You'd spend a lot more time in each world than you would think you would. And this game's not like crazy long or anything like that. And there's not really a whole lot of like RPG mechanics to it. I mean, you do upgrade like your Vorpal Blade, and your gun is a pepper grinder. You can upgrade that too, and you just make them stronger throughout. And you get some other weapons too. But playing through this game just for the story, like I've been saying, it is absolutely worth it. You can get this game for $20 on. I didn't see it on Steam anymore, but the EA Origin store, you can get it there. You can get it on Xbox Store. You can get it on PlayStation Store. Or, I'm sure there's other outlets out there that you could probably find with a simple internet search to get it for cheaper. Or just wait for it to, maybe go on sale somewhere. Now, the reason I talk about this, and I know I'm kind of recapping here, but American McGee is planning on creating a new Alice game that I am like so excited for, and I wanted to just share that with you guys. If you guys are huge Alice fans and maybe you don't follow American McGee or follow like what's going on, you can support him on Patreon if you want to, if you're like super into it. I'll leave the link for his Patreon in the description below. He is planning on having the actual crowdfunding for the campaign. This is going to be a crowdfunded game if it's going to get made. From what I've read, it seems like he's going to want it to come up like October of this year, and projected, I think it said that like 2021 would be when the game's actually finished. So it's still a long ways off. There's some pretty cool concept art on his Patreon though. And like I said, I highly recommend you check out the Alice series if you have not checked it out. Check out his Patreon page. Like I said, I'll leave the link in the description. It's just one of my favorite games of all time. I actually think I'm going to start over. I played the first couple levels over again last night. I think I might just start all the way over. And I'm probably going to end up just streaming it on Twitch. I tried streaming it on YouTube the other day. I was playing Battlefield, and for some reason I was having a really hard time streaming there. So I think primarily I'm going to keep Twitch as my primary streaming platform. So if you ever do want to catch like the gameplay of Alice, or if you're interested in the game at all and you want to see it, but you're not, you don't want to shell out $20, you can watch me play it. Twitch.tv/TREC87. I'd be happy to have you guys stop by and say hi. But again, like I said, I just wanted to raise awareness about this, and anybody who has played the Alice games, like, that it's a great series that I just love so much. So anyways, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys check Alice out if you get a chance. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.